I'll start by saying this is yet again another important week for us, and that's not to say that the other ones haven't been, nor will the future ones. Every week in the conference is an important week, and we've got to right the ship. We got some decent news yesterday that both Eric and Victor will be able to play on Saturday, so we'll be shorthanded on Thursday for hopefully the last time ever, and then those guys will be back on Saturday. So with that, I'll open it up for questions.
What was the process to get Eric back in being able to play?
There was no process. It was just, whenever you violate rules, there are consequences, and then so the consequences were a 3-game suspension, and so we just have to live through it. So there's really no real process. And Eric, you haven't been around, but I want to also say, since they did make a mistake and are living through that, both guys have done a tremendous job since they made their mistake and showing some huge responsibility, huge accountability, and overall contrition for their deeds.
Looking at UCLA, I mean, they come in one of the hottest teams in the Pac-12. What's the key to kind of slowing that down and maybe helping you guys get a win?
Well, we want to they're playing more like we're playing this season, so they're playing up and down. So what we want to do is make sure that we can being shorthanded last the whole game with them going up and down. So we'll probably stick to our same game plan offensively, and then defensively we'll probably try and mix some things up just to make sure that we're fresh for the last 5 to 8 minutes of the game. And then their personnel it's so dynamic. I mean, you have 2 high school All-Americans and then another kid who is very highly recruited who are all starting. And they'll be playing at home, so they'll be comfortable. So we'll have to take away some of the things that those guys can do, and we're working real hard on trying to figure out what that is. And then finally, with Eric being out again, and we hadn't been out-rebounded all season, we have to make sure that we rebound the basketball.
Is that Travis Ware? I mean, he seems like he's kind of rolling on all cylinders right now.
Yeah, I mean, when you're ranked in the top 25, you got a lot of guys playing well. Joe Burton will probably start out on him, and will be undersized, undersized in the matchup with him, but very capable of guarding him. I thought we did a good job on them last year, but their personnel is altogether different this year. Their style of play is altogether different.
Have you kind of been surprised at how they've been able to turn it around? Because they were struggling to start the year, and then now it seems like they're kind of playing well.
No, I'm not surprised at all. I mean, what you have there is you have a program that has great basketball pedigree, great culture. You have a very good coach. You have very good players. You have a very good brand new arena to play in. It was just a matter of time for them to right the ship.
Beavers are giving up the most points per game in the conference. What kind of stuff have you been doing to try to shore up defensively?
Not let the other team score. I mean, that's pretty much it. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that Eric's been out. I'd probably reassess that number. It's probably not a realistic number as we stand right now, but every day we're working on being better defensively. I think rebounding has a lot to do with that. We are a work in progress, even with those guys in with us. So we'll as always, we'll continually get better as the season goes on.
Have you been following UCLA closely enough to see what they've done to kind of turn things around?
I started watching tape of them this week. And I haven't been paying attention to whether or not what changed. I would imagine that their young players are no longer now true freshmen. They've got 15 games, 12 to 15 games under their belt now. They're they're sort of probably getting comfortable being in the limelight, being on the stage, and they're. It looks like from the tape they're playing really well together. So again, it's not surprising. I would expect that from a team like UCLA, but I also expect us to be ready and able to stay right with them.
You mentioned righting the ship, giving them the start, and losing the first 3 games at home, not going on the road. Is it a sense of urgency, desperation? I mean, how big really is this weekend?
You would hope that it's not a sense of desperation. There's always a sense of urgency. You know, I think it's too early to have a sense of desperation because there are, you know, we've only played 3 games, so we have 15 more games to play. But going on the road makes it tough, and being shorthanded makes it tough. And you know, we keep talking about being shorthanded with Eric and Victor out, but you have to remember Angus Brandt and Daniel Gomez are out for the season with injuries. So it's not time for desperation yet. You know, it's time for focus, it's time for high energy, and it's time for execution. That's what you need on the road.
Do you find yourself trying to pick the guys up and kind of give them motivation?
You know, the first game of the suspension was a real downer for everybody. So that game, I felt like I had to really use my tools to get them excited and pumped up for the game. But the Arizona game, they were ready. They were ready in practice yesterday. So I mean, I think the hangover from the suspension is done. And I think when we watch tape all the time, and when our guys watch the tape, they see how close they are in these games. I mean, you know, you're playing shorthanded against the number 4 team in the country, and you lose by 10. And there were times in there where you could have cut the lead with a play here and a play there. So I think there's still a level of excitement. There's also a level of understanding that we're still a very good team. We're just not playing well.
Coach, when you get Eric back on Saturday, what does it mean to have him back other than the obvious, which is the 11 and 11? I mean, some intangibles, some of the things that you were missing when he was out?
Oh yeah, you know, the double-double is a given, but you got to remember he blocks and alters shots. He's one of our most active players. I mean, just energy level. It's another body. Actually, it's 2 more bodies that you would put in the game, so it makes you deeper, and it pushes the freshmen down. I mean, you know, not only have we been playing shorthanded, but our bench has been all freshmen. I mean, and not to take anything away from them, the other night against Arizona, when we made our comeback from being down 17 to cut it to 10, it was 3 freshmen, a sophomore, and a junior, and they're doing that. So that's again, if you want to talk about a silver lining, that's a silver lining. But having Eric back is, you know, it's not quite immeasurable, but it's big.
Coach, what's the message to Beaver basketball fans right now? I mean, this was a season that started with a lot of high possibilities, and the 0-3 start a little skewed.
Yeah.
Those things you talk about, but what do you tell them?
You know, if I'm talking to true Beaver fans, they understand, and they're behind us and still excited about the direction this program's going. And you just have to count on them to understand and be patient and, you know, see how we progress. I mean, since I've been here, our teams have gotten better toward the end of the season every year. We just started out at a higher level, so hopefully I'm still planning on having this team get better. But you know, true Beaver fans that I run into are very positive, and they're trying to pick me up instead of me trying to pick them up, and that's always a nice thing to have.
Do you need to be picked up?
No, not yet. No. You'll know when I need to be picked up. I won't be making jokes in here with you guys for coming late.
And maybe this is more silver lining stuff, but arguably after Thursday you'll have 3 of your 4 toughest games behind you. And the way the schedule breaks out, only 1 game against Arizona and UCLA. Is that something you look at, or?
No, because you still have to play those games and win those games. And if you're too beaten down beforehand, you could slip up and feel like you can't win the games that you should win. So we're just approaching it one day at a time like we always have since we've gotten here. And we're trying to win practice today, and then we'll try and win practice tomorrow, and then we'll try and beat UCLA the next day.
That being said, what would a win do for your guys' emotions right now?
Phil, I mean, it'd be pretty exciting for us to win just to get off the schneid, but again, we wouldn't put too much into it because it's only one win and we got plenty of games to go. But I think, you know, I'd be insincere if I said we're not hungry for a win. We're always hungry for a win, especially when you win. I don't know, what did we win? Four games in a row, 5 games in a row there? You know, when you start winning like that, you just want to win all the time. And but like I said, I think our guys know that we are capable of doing it. Now we got to work on the execution of doing it on the road.
Coach, we just talked to Bill Walton on our local show, and Bill said he loves Joe Burton's game, considers him unique in all of college basketball, and looking forward to calling the game Thursday. We're used to that in a sense, but what's the best way to get the most out of that unique style with Joe that you guys are working on, that Bill Walton sees and, you know, that other people have seen? Well,
we do. We play our center differently than anybody else in the conference, and the fact that Joe is undersized, notwithstanding, when we put Olaf in there, they play the same way. We try and bring them out away from the basket so their skill level can be they can exploit their skill level against the other centers. So we'll just continue to do that. Now, you know, everybody knows Joe's knees he's having a tough time with his knees. He's got years of basketball playing and pounding on those knees. So what we have to do is we have to be smart about his minutes. And certainly Thursday, we're going to need him for every single minute he plays, as we will on Saturday, but we'll have Eric back on Saturday, so we'll be able to rest him without having too much of a drop-off. But we're not going to do anything differently. I mean, you guys know me by now. We just stick to what we're doing and do it better because what we do is working. I mean, you know, I can't really give a full grade because it's incomplete without certain pieces, but the effort is certainly there. It's just at times the execution when you're playing a lot of freshmen is not going to be there. So we need to compensate for that. And I think that each day our freshmen get better, our younger players get better. I mean, I really feel confident in putting these guys in the game.
Even though it was just one shot, the baseline shot that Langston took in the flow and hit along the right base the other night, that type of thing was a big shot for him.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, Langston's, as all freshmen have to understand, and he's beginning to understand that now, Mike, is that he doesn't get in the game because of his offense. We don't really need his offense. We have some prolific scorers. What we need him to do is come in and play good D, play hard, and be an energy, be a battery for that team, and that's what he does. And now the crowd he's even gotten some fans in the crowd with his energetic play. But the cherry on top is that he is a good offensive player. He will be a good offensive player. He scored a lot of points in high school. He was the best guy on their team. But he's just got to understand the difference between a good shot and a bad shot, which he does. He doesn't take any. I mean, early on in the season, he'd fire up a shot as soon as he got in, thinking that was how he was going to stay in. Now he understands by playing good, solid man-to-man defense, making the right pass, cutting hard, getting a few rebounds, makes me feel confident in keeping him in the game.
Another silver lining that strikes me with Olaf, whose learning curve was pushed when Angus got hurt, then with Eric out, I mean, you've gone to him more, and he's responded in a lot of, pretty well with some shot making. That's right.
And you remember, Mike, when I first got here, and I had Ruland, who, for those of you who don't know, Ruland's his older brother, who I inherited and only had 2 years. The first thing out of my mouth was, I wish I had that kid for 4 years, and now I've got a Schaftenar for 4 years, and you can just see every move he makes, he gets better than the time before, and you know, his integrity as a worker is high. You know, he's young and he's weak right now, but he works hard and he's conscientious. So again, that gives a coach confidence in putting him in the game.
Finally, Coach, I know that you and Bill spent time together, Bill Walton that he, again, on a local show, raved about that time you guys spent. Is there any way you can convey kind of what you guys talked about and what that time was like for you?
Sure. Well, I'm just absolutely flattered that he thought it was a great time, because I was, you know, I mean, for me, for some of you young guys, meeting Bill Walton is pretty exciting. You guys probably don't even know who Bill Walton is, but I was really excited to meet him and talk to him. And, you know, I know people say he's very loquacious on camera, and but he was just so down to earth and so genuine. It was a real treat getting to talk to him and share stories about our two favorite coaches, his being John Wooden and mine being Pete Carrill, and how they were similar in ways and different in ways. He absolutely loves our team. You know. So that's always good as a coach, but more importantly, he loves our profession. It means a lot to him having had a good coach. So he was very gracious in talking about the coaching profession, which would make anybody feel good who's in it. You know, sometimes you you forget because you're trying. This is a business for us, and you're trying to win games, and it was completely exemplified with Kevin O'Neill just getting fired. You know, if you don't win, you don't get to keep these wonderful jobs where you get to have an imprint on young men and women. And he was just talking about what a great profession and a great calling it was to be a coach, and how much it meant to him. Just terrific. And we spent easily 45 minutes together. I mean, I think he was late for his next appointment. He was supposed to speak to some folks here on campus, but it was, I mean, I'm gushing because that's how excited I was to meet and get a chance to talk to somebody who, was, I wouldn't say he was one of my idols because I was a Bulls fan, but just hearing about how many games they won in college without losing, and having watched him play when he was in his prime, how smart of a player he was, and how he used to give the Bulls trouble. I mean, it was a great time for me.
You remember that Bulls Blazers series in '77?
Oh yeah, I do remember that. I remember that. And see, people when you say Bulls Blazers series, they think of the one where Jordan went like this. Yeah. We're talking about the Bob Love. Yeah, just fantastic basketball. So.
You mentioned O'Neill. Does the scouting report go out the window now for USC, or what do you do? It
doesn't go out of the window, but it's going to change. They're going to have an advantage because we won't know exactly what the new coach is going to implement. I'm sure there are going to be some changes because that's why they made the change in personnel. So, but it doesn't go out of the window. The personnel stuff, the guys will still have tendencies that they're going to have. I think they're just going to be more calmer and confident about doing what they want to do and not having too many ramifications for it, negative ramifications.
I know the focus is on beating UCLA and getting a win, but given the history of Pauley Pavilion and going to the now renovated place, is there a level of excitement from you or any of the guys to see?
Always. The first time I went to Pauley was when I got a job here. So, I was well grown and knew all about basketball. And I never knew that when you go into Pauley Pavilion, the only banners that are up are national championship banners. That's impressive. That's really impressive when you think about the history of that place. So to be able to go in there each year, well, almost each year, now that we have this uneven schedule, we didn't play there last year, but to be able to go in there from time to time and play on a regular basis is really it's a treat for me. And I know my guys, and not just the guys from LA, enjoy going there to play. It's a famous place to play.
Do you have to kind of explain that to the freshmen on your team?
I haven't. I sort of let that kind of folklore stuff happen within in the locker room organically. But I will point out that they play well at home, and you have to come in and play your A game whenever you're on the road here in the Pac-12.
Since this is a group that kind of would rise to an occasion like that?
It feels like it. It feels like it. But we haven't had a whole lot of. We've only had one true away game. We've had a couple of neutral site games. But I would say that the Kansas game in Kansas City was like an away game for us, and the guys rose to the occasion in that situation. This is a group that I suspect will rise to the occasion.
What kind of role do you see for Victor as he gets back in?
You know, Curtis, I don't know if I said this already, but Victor was playing really well in practice. And I thought he was going to play a bigger role in these first conference games here at home to get some experience at home where you got a little bit of familiarity. Needless to say, he sort of took some steps backward. But if things continue to go on the path that they were going, he's going to be effective for us down the line. Bless you.
What does he bring? I mean, I know when Charlie got in foul trouble, you were kind of wishing you had Victor available, but
right.
Does he give you like a bigger guard?
Yeah, Victor is similar to Jamal, where he can guard multiple positions, but you feel comfortable putting Victor on a 1, 2, or 3, and he's a good rebounder for that position, and he's also a little bit more offensive than Jamal is. So he brings a scoring threat too, a little bit more of a scoring threat.
And what's the plans for inauguration?
The plans for inauguration are a little bit different than they were 4 years ago because of the overall ball situation is much smaller. So I won't have as many places to go once I'm there. So I'll leave after the game Saturday, be there Sunday. For those of you who don't know, that there's a drop-dead date where you have to be sworn in, and it's usually the Monday or Tuesday after of this week. Well, it turns out to be Sunday, so there's going to be a private swearing-in ceremony that we'll go to on Sunday, and then they'll have the big one on Monday, and then I'll fly back for practice on Tuesday.
You dance at these balls?
No, I'm usually standing taking pictures. It's like it's like your wedding probably was, a big reception line, and you shake hands with everybody. Only I have to shake hands and take pictures. Shake hands, take pictures. So for about 3 hours, I'm just taking pictures.
Orange tie? Are you going to wear it?
It's actually black tie.
Oh, black.
The balls are, so I'll wear a tuxedo. Not with an orange tie. Yeah. No, I thought about doing that, but that might be a little bit clownish, so I'm going to go low key. But probably outside, I'll probably wear either an orange tie or take the orange scarf that I took last time. It was quite lucky for us last time, so I might do that again.
Does the whole family get to go?
Well, the little kids aren't going because it's too quick of a trip. I mean, if they had time. But my my son who's playing at Wesleyan will go, and then my daughter who's a junior here and is going and has to come back as fast as I do because she plays on Tuesday. Traded all in for a win, though. Is that it? All right, thanks, gang.